Donald Trump reverses the global tariffs and Bitcoin pumped by 9%. But is Bitcoin made in China or in any of the countries the tariffs were laid off for? What's the real reason behind the big moves? And what's about to happen next? I will reveal to you in this video. Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Samo from MCP Paradise, and in the previous video I have told you Bitcoin with the highest probability will go down, and as you can see we have really moved by around 5% down, and we have established a support exactly at this zone that I have shared with you in the previous video. How did we get this zone? By measuring the depth of this triangle, putting it to the breakout point, and that basically released for us this beautiful number 74,900 something. Since then Bitcoin established a beautiful double bottom formation. We have created a exaggerated bullish divergence because the price made equal lows and the MACD histogram made a high low. This is a textbook example of our exaggerated bullish divergence. If you are educating yourself in MCP Free University, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Not only that, we have also seen that the big boys been accumulating. They have filled a very big buy limit order, and after that it was enough for us to close some of our short positions with ParadiseTeam VIPs. As you can see, we have taken manually a profit on our Bitcoin trade, for example this one at $76,800 before the Trump news release, okay? And we have also created a long position on a near altcoin right here, and we have been riding that to the upside. Also we have created that before the Trump news release. Ladies and gentlemen, this tells you only one thing, that the news, once again, I'm repeating that once again, the news never make the market, okay? The news are working just as a catalyst. The Bitcoin would dump anyway. The news just made it faster because it provided liquidity to the market, okay? The news never make the market, human behavior does. And not only this is important to understand, but also the thing I have explained to you in the previous video, and that is the water is the strongest and most powerful element in the nature. And if you want to be the best, most powerful trader in the market, you need to start behaving like a water, and that means that you need to be able to adapt, okay? So when you pour water into a glass, what the water does? Does it try to fight the glass? Does it try to break the cap? No, it adapts, right? It adapts to its environment. And as a professional traders, we also need to master the skill of adapting to the market environment. And when we have seen that the Bitcoin price cannot go lower, and we have seen that the dynamics are changing into bullish ones, even though we had targets even lower, we knew we need to adapt, and we have just taken our profits earlier, okay? That's how it works. And now it's important to understand what's about to happen next. I will explain to you in this video why I'm interested to short Bitcoin if we reach $85,000. So to understand the reasoning behind this, let's analyze deeply Bitcoin. As always, today it's gonna be a little bit more technical. It will be a shorter video because I don't want to waste too much of your time. So we will just quickly go through our ultra high time frame chart, ladies and gentlemen. You know that since January, that is almost 3 months ago, we have changed our strategy into a bearish strategy inside of ParadiseTeam VIP. We are acting like aggressive bears, which is absolutely different behavior than we had 3 years prior to that, right? During this cycle, we have been catching the bottom exactly at 19,500, and our day trading activities in terms of swing trading being 100% on a bullish side and with bullish tactics and bullish strategies. Right here it changed. I have called the top at $106,000, as you know, and I told you that we are about to go to $44,000. There were two major stops, yeah, and that is $77,000 and $44,000. $77,000 I have already achieved, and we are yet to make the move lower towards $44,000. As you know from the previous video, I have promised to you that if we will not reach that $44,000 within the next 4 months, I will not only delete this channel but also pay you $10,000. And there was a couple of questions of how I'm gonna distribute it, and there was also some great advices. So here it is. If you want to win that $10,000, you need to write under this video a comment answering this question. What's the most important thing in long-term profitable professional trading? Answer this question, and also behind the answer write if you want me to redistribute that $10,000 between all people that write this comment under this video, or if I should select only one comment with the highest amount of likes, okay? The redistribution idea was from one of you. One of you write this idea in short or under this video, I don't remember anymore, but it was a great idea and I let you to decide, okay? So let's now go back to the current price action and why we are interested in shorting at around $85,000. So first of all, we need to understand that I do believe, because this is going to be a deep correction, that we will be moving in a zigzag formation. And if you are in our MCP for university, you know exactly how it works, right? It's ABC, 3 waves, and the A wave is in a motive mode, B wave in a corrective mode, C wave in a motive mode. That gives us loads of trading ideas and a great context to the market, okay? So we need to understand if we are still in the A wave or are we actually starting the B wave now. For that, let's zoom in inside of this price action and let's go deeper into high time frame. This is a daily time frame chart, ladies and gentlemen. Few things that are really catching my attention right now is that we have a beautiful 2 nice high volume candles, both of them highly green after touching our major high time frame demand zone. This is bullish. I'm not gonna lie, this is bullish, ladies and gentlemen. Right now we are also seeing on a high time frame chart a classic bullish divergence. As you can see, the slope of the price action is declining, right? It made a lower low. This is low, this is lower low, and the MACD indicator, the histogram, you can see is making higher low, and this is a textbook example of a classic bullish divergence, and it suggests that the momentum is decreasing and the bears are losing strength. What else can we see just by looking at this chart is that RSI also is having confirmation of this bullish divergence, so that's just adding up to the probabilities for bulls. What's bearish, however, is that we have not been able to establish anything above this moving average line right here, the orange one, and by calculating the Elliott wave subwaves, we are not really sure if this was the truncated fifth of the fifth itself or a truncated fifth of the third smaller wave. Let me show you just very roughly what I mean by that, then we will zoom in and you will understand more what I'm talking about. So after we have broken below this contracting triangle, we have created a first wave, then a second wave, then a third wave, then a fourth wave, but we don't know if it was a fourth wave of the higher or lower degree, and then a fifth wave, okay? And now this fifth wave might have been a fifth wave of this whole movement or just a fifth wave of this third wave, okay? And now we are creating a new wave. That might be either a new impulse or just a corrective mode wave. Let me explain. Let's zoom in a little bit. Okay, before we go into the waves, we can see the bullish exaggerated divergence right here. But what we cannot see, and that's sometimes more important of what you can see in the market, is that we don't have any bearish divergence just yet, right? The histogram made a higher high. The price also made a higher high. We cannot see any bearish divergence on stochastic RSI neither. And also on RSI there is nothing, right? So it's not only about what you can see, but also about what you cannot see in the market. When you are analyzing the Bitcoin yourself, you need to really understand that sometimes it's the dog that doesn't bark in the night. You know, if you are familiar with Sherlock Holmes stories, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Sometimes it's something that is missing that really giving you the highest amount of clues. And as a professional traders, the clues we are basically transforming into a points, and then we are just putting more points to bearish scenarios, more points to bullish scenarios, and then based on that we are positioning ourselves into trades. That's how we do it for ParadiseTeam VIPs. If you have not been able to get a seat inside of ParadiseTeam VIP, or you simply don't have enough big capital to trade with us, you need to do this yourself, okay? What we however can see right now is the waves, right? And there are really 2 scenarios right now, and I will explain to you why why none of them really matters for our trading decisions. Because if you are playing the market right, you don't need to know exactly what will happen next. You just need to know what's the highest probability next thing that is going to happen next. So the waves. This is the first impulse that we had. After that, we have created this expanded flat formation that was our higher degree secondary wave, and then we have the third wave, right? And now the question is, was this the third wave, or was actually this the third wave? If this was the third wave, then we have created a fourth wave and a fifth wave of this cycle and the higher degree fifth wave, and that means that we would be starting the B wave already. However, if the third wave finished right here and not right here, if it finished right here, it means that we are still about to finish the whole cycle probably lower, right? Because if this was the third wave, we have just right now completed, or we are still completing the fourth wave, and then we will have a fifth wave towards $70,000 to $72,000. So let's get a little bit more information and analyze this third wave by diving a little bit deeper into our low time frame chart. Here we can see the subwaves much clearer, and let's dive deeper into the third wave. So the third wave actually started right here, right? So we had a first wave, first subwave of the higher degree third wave right here. Then we have completed the secondary wave by this contracting triangle right here. Well, and now it really depends. Finished the third wave right here, or was the third wave finished right here? So either this was the third wave like this, then we had a higher degree fourth wave and the fifth wave, and right now we are creating a new impulse that will finish at $85,000 around this level, and this is the impulse of that higher degree B wave, this one, the first one, right? Because you understand that the B wave is made out of corrective mode wave, and if the first wave is an impulse, it's gonna be a zigzag, right? So that's the first scenario, and at $85,000 as the other one. And just to understand the subwaves of the third wave, it will be like this: first, second right here, third, then fourth created by a running flat, and then fifth ends up right here, right? And then we have the higher degree fourth wave and truncated fifth wave right here. Otherwise, there is also a second scenario that also ends up at $85,000, and that is the way that this third wave actually ended up right here. If I change the color into white so you can see the subwaves better, it would mean this was the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, okay? And that basically concludes the third wave. And then it would mean that on a higher degree, this is just the fourth wave that will take us towards around $85,000. And then we will still need to have the higher degree fifth wave, right? That might take us towards that $70,000 to $72,000. In both scenarios, however, the fact is that we will be revisiting $85,000 around this level, basically. Not exactly, I'm just saying like approximately. And upon confirmations, we will move down either way, because this is either a fourth corrective mode wave, and right now we are forming either like expanded flat. Let me show you what I mean. So the expanded flat, if you are watching our MCP for University, you know that the C goes above the A wave. However, this is regular flat. I've been mentioning expanded, but I meant regular because the B wave didn't went below the previous start of the A wave, right? But either way, the regular flat also have the C wave made out of the impulsive mode wave, right? So that means it's an impulse as well, as it would be if we would be creating the A wave of the higher degree B wave in the zigzag, right? This is also an impulse, and it works both ways. So firstly, let me show you how it would work if this would be the impulse of the higher degree B wave. So this would be the first wave, second wave, third wave. Right now we are creating a correction, fourth wave. We have just retested the previous high, which is perfect. And now we will have a fifth wave that will probably take us towards $85,000, or here we will have truncation. Upon confirmations, we will be with ParadiseTeam VIPs entering some aggressive short positions. And if it would be a regular flat, ladies and gentlemen, it would work like this. This would be basically the A wave. Let me show you what I mean right here. So this would be the A wave, then a B wave. Let me show you what I mean. This would be the B wave, and then we would have the impulse, right? And it works also because this would be the smaller first wave, second wave, third wave. Right now we have a fourth wave, and then we need to create a fifth wave that, if it's not going to be truncated, will be revisiting that $85,000. So ladies and gentlemen, also because I'm looking at liquidity, this will be the only behind the scenes data I will be showing you in this video, and we can see beautiful liquidity until that $85,000. Then it's kinda blind, right? But it would be very juicy trade for the big boys to go take the liquidity and then move the market down towards this beautiful, very over leveraged liquidity below us around that $70,000, ladies and gentlemen. I don't believe they will just leave it like this right there. However, in both scenarios, even if this is an impulse or a regular flat, we will be moving down, right? If it's a B wave of a zigzag right here, we will not go below the start of the A wave, right? If it's a regular flat and we have not completed the whole cycle just yet, we will be moving towards $70,000 to $70,000. Also, the USDT dominance didn't complete its cycle, ladies and gentlemen. It had a truncated fifth on this higher degree third wave, so that just adds up to the probabilities that maybe this is really a regular flat, more likely than a start of the higher degree B wave. However, that might change. I will keep you updated in the next videos. As you know, I always record videos on Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday, and until then, take care, trade safe and trade like a professional. Cheers.